what Stoops was talking about right up here. This is what Russia does to you if you RMT, like illegally. If you buy gold off of a third-party website, this is what they do. You can still play, but now you're in debt to us.
Alright, it's time to talk about it. I played a lot of Lost Ark, and it's just not fun to me anymore. I've not logged in for a couple days now, and here's the reasons why, and I'm gonna kind of rant about this game, so here it goes. The daily content is not fun. The same content every single day is not fun. You do your Una's task, boring. You do your Guardians, fucking boring. Yes, the first time it's kinda interesting and cool, if it's something new, but it's the same thing every single day, and killing Descaluda a million times is just fucking boring. Also, Chaos every single day. Chaos Dungeon, come on dude, that shit is boring as fuck. It's just spam your skills, brain dead. If the game has nothing to offer every single day besides complete mindless grinding and the same content all over again, why would you log in, right? If the game is not fun, why play it? Gold inflation from RMT. So we all know that AGS, or Amazon Game Studios, is completely useless when it comes to detecting bots, and the bots are just doing the fuck they want. There's 800,000 players playing right now. How many of these are bots? Probably around 500,000. That's more than half. This kind of shit has to stop, but we all know they're useless. They're doing ban waves, they just come back around 10 minutes later, just making a new account. They can't even hire fucking people to just sit there and ban them by hand until they have the issue fixed. Hire people that know how to detect bots, let them write the fucking code, meanwhile just hire a person that just fucking sits there and bans them. Alright? RMT in this game is the standard, and everybody goes with the RMT value of gold, and it ruined the entire game. As a free-to-play player, it's basically completely impossible to buy anything, because the RMT value is so fucking inflated that you can't buy legendary books. They're so extremely expensive, it costs like 4 weeks of grinding. Grinding the game feels bad. By grinding the game, I mean people that put a lot of hours into the game, like me on release. I put a shit ton of hours into, and I never got to a game to 900 hours in such a short amount of time. The last time I got a game to 1000 hours was Dota 2, and that took me 2 or 3 years. This game yoinked all the hours, and in the end, I have nothing to show for it. Because someone else just played, I don't know, like maybe 100 hours, swiped for $10,000, and is at the same point that I am. Anyway, the pay to win in this game is just too crazy. The game actively siphons all of your gold all over the place. Everything you do costs gold, and it makes you yoink all the gold, and everything is gold related. The honing RNG also splits people apart within the guild or with friends. I was legit not able to play with my friend because I got lucky and he didn't, and then sometimes later another friend, the thing was the other way around. He was very lucky and I wasn't. So a quote unquote massive multiplayer game actively does everything to not make you play multiplayer with your friends. Also, lucky people and swipers then start to snowball. Also, lucky people and swipers are then gonna snowball, because everything in this game is gear gated. Everything. Every single dungeon, every single content, every single shop, besides PvP, everything is gear gated. And then, once they reach the gear by being either lucky or RMTing, they just snowball because they just unlocked another income that is way higher. That means they're gonna progress even more. Yes, I know, the honing and everything like that, the progressing, is slowing down, but the fact is that they get the money early, which then they can use to invest into things like flipping items, for example, or getting the access earlier to the content, makes them able to get just more money out of it. Even if you say, oh wow, you will get there eventually, right? With your gear. But the time you get there, everything has gotten down in value so crazy, it's not worth it. So imagine that when they're released with the relic gear, and swipers were already way above that level, and free-to-play player were not even able to reach a single relic gear, they were still earning like 2,000 gold with their weekly content. Meanwhile, the swipers earn 3,500 gold, and on top of that, they also get relic gear, which if you get lucky, which is yet another RNG thing on top of RNG, if you get the relic gear early, you can sell them for so much money that it yet again snowballs so crazy out of control that then, even if they honing and everything they do is way more expensive at the higher item level, but the snowballing effect makes it even easier for them to then upgrade. And the time a free-to-play player reached a point, everything is shit in price, and a thing that sold for a couple thousands, let's say, I don't know, an ability stone that is now worth 10 gold, used to be worth a couple thousand gold for like the first couple days on release. Also, AGS actively is nerfing gold income, which makes it even worse. So they're doing everything to ruin the game at this point. Time investment. This game wants you to do too many darn things. All the collectibles are stacked beyond anything I've seen. Don't get me wrong, I do like some completionism content, but why? Why in the world do we have to grind out a million fucking this, a million that, all of this shit, all of that shit? It's just too much to grind. And this is not content. It's not like, well, you have more content to do. No, that's not content. That's content padding. It's just useless shit that makes you waste hours and hours makes you waste your time for useless shit for hours and hours to then in the end not even really give you anything in return besides skill points. Also, what's the point of doing that kind of content unless you're done with your skill points? It's just completionism and really being fun. It's not fun running around looking on your second screen and following a guide. That's not interesting. That's not gameplay. That's following someone else did it for you. Right? It's not like exploring and actually looking on your screen and interacting with the game. The game is secondary here. Making free-to-play feel like shit. None of the free-to-play efforts are worth anything, when a whale can just beat you eventually and overgears. Even in a raid, when you say, oh wow, you have to learn the mechanics even if you're a swiper and you have a lot of money invested into it. At one point, they're just gonna overgear so much that they don't give a shit about the mechanics and maybe only care about the handful of major mechanics because they're gonna tank everything else. What's the point of playing the game? What's the point of increasing your skill and dedication? It's not rewarded. The only thing you see is someone else next to you that played a quarter of the time and either got extremely lucky with honing, which is very rare, or they just wail. They spend way less time, they don't give a shit about the dedication or the skill, they just swipe the credit card and say, yo, I'm better than you. It makes you feel like dog shit. And then you might think, wow, it's not pay to win, right? It is PvE. Nobody gives a fuck, right? You don't really quote-unquote win over something else. Well, I have some news to you in the next part. Guild versus guild. Yeah, that's the reason why. Guild versus guild. This is the content. This is some of the most important late game things. Owning islands and being able to guild versus guild against other people. Well, you will lose. You will always fucking lose because whales just have an easier time on almost everything here. And then they snowball yet again because some of the stuff gives you like 50,000 gold. and then of course you divide it by the people that played, but still, the amount of snowballing here increasing is crazy, and playing guild versus guild with a free-to-play guild, or mostly free-to-play like our guild, is just not fun, because you will never be able to reach it. Every time we did a guild event, it's like, well, okay, we got like place 10 or 16 or like top 20 or whatever the fuck. And always the top guilds were the one that wailed the most. That's not fun, and you will never even have a chance at it, even if all the people learn and giving their best and using everything. The game does not even give you a chance to be skillful and winning because of it. It's just whales win, everybody else fuck off. Plus, the RMT kinda ruined everything, making the whales even cheaper to buy their shit than the game originally planned it to be, and the whales just dominate the game. It does not matter how much time you put in, if you put 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours, 10,000 hours. It does not give a shit. You will never beat a whale, and that's just how it is. The dream. So, to round this whole thing up, here's the dream, alright? It was just me and my buddy. We always look at games, and many of the games we want to play just either don't exist in a multiplayer, or they just have so many flaws and issues that it's just not fun for us. Or the flaws come out in late game. Finding that one game, it's a dream at this point. The dream also like kinda died with Lost Ark. I thought Lost Ark will be that game. It's like good graphics, good combat, skill is rewarded, but it turns out it's a fucking clown fiesta. And especially with new games nowadays, we are not able to find anything that we can call our main game. All I want from a game that rewards skill, dedication, and more importantly, information. It will be really nice if there would be an information-based game, pretty much how Yggdrasil did it in Overlord, the anime, where the game was so big that all the information was incredibly useful and people did not share the information besides the basic information, because it was the most important thing in the game. Well, now all the games are completely figured out, all this builds and everything is like trying to min-max everything as much as you can, and there's no more magic in game. And nowadays, everything shifted. It used to be 50, 60, 70 bucks for a game. You play it, and that's the end of it. Then they added microtransactions. Then they added not so microtransactions. And now it's just fully pay to win. No game nowadays really rewards any skill or dedication. The only thing it rewards is the size of your bank account. Anyways, I'm gonna see you guys later.
Wait, so wait.
Fuck it, fuck!
So keep this one. Sweet! Okay, hold on, I can.